Lisa, I've always thought interior designers had such interesting jobs, but you really have taken it a step further. And we're going to talk a little bit about what you called the love method, and I'll let you explain what that means.
Well, sure. The love method is something I devised when I was living with my mom and dad and grandmother and trying to figure out how do I take 27 years of interior design for senior living and boil it down into if you want to age in place or you want to help your own parents or your husband or wife or loved one or friend. What do you do? What's a simple way? And I came up with the love method, which makes sense because I love them. I love them dearly. So the love method is L for light, O for optimize, V for visual, and E for ease. And if you can think about all your decisions that you're making from an interior design standpoint and put it through that, or when you're picking technology or a piece of furniture, it'll really help you to be able to age in place or someone that's a little bit older.
And if we start planning, we were talking earlier, when do you start planning for aging in place? I'm probably past it, and there's no better time than when you've got someone like you that you can pick their brain and find out. Well, you've been through it.
Oh, I have. And, I'm 51. Well, I'm 50. I'll be 51. I think when you get to that point when you start aging up, my mom always said she was older than she was before I said I was younger, right?
Right.
I'm planning now. And the reason why I see that is so many of my friends and relatives have a crisis. They have knee surgery or rotator cuff surgery or something like that. And then all of a sudden, their home is not equipped for them to come back. And they have to go into a nursing home to rehab. And I'm like, I don't want to be in a nursing home. I love the design work that we do, but I don't want to be there. And 90% of boomers don't want to be there. So what can you do? And there's so many little tiny hacks and tips and tricks that you can do. And one of them, light, is the number one. A 24-year-old has better eyes than a senior.
Right.
A senior requires 70% more light. 70%.
70. Wow.
That's huge.
But I like light. First thing I do is open every curtain in the house or the blinds or whatever.
Exactly. And if you have the mentality you might be a little bit older and past the baby boomer years in your depression era, you're into switching all the lights off. Well, that's the worst thing that you could do. It doesn't save that much energy. You need more light because when you have more light, you're more sure-footed.
That's true.
You can
less
find
falls.
things, less falls. You can see if there's a magazine that dropped on the floor. You can see where the steps are, where the handrail is, and all of those types of things.
And you have another thing that you've talked about are different items that will help us, light chargers or light dimmers or whatever. So be aware of changes in technology.
Oh, 100%. Like there are light bulbs out there, LED light bulbs. You can go to Best Buy or Walmart and get them, and they will help you with your circadian cycle. So your circadian cycle is what tells your brain to wake up and go to sleep. And as we age, maybe we're not going to work every day. You kind of spend more time inside. I think it's like 98% of the time you spend inside. So your body forgets because it's not getting the natural sunlight when to wake up and when to go to sleep, and then people have trouble sleeping. And we know if you don't sleep well, your body's not happy. You have health issues. That's when falls happen a lot of times. So there are light bulbs that'll mimic the sunrise, day, and then sunset and tell your brain it's time to wake up or go to sleep.
And when people complain about not being able to sleep at night, I loved your comment on, and don't have a television on.
That's 100% right. So televisions are much worse than a phone or a tablet.
Or something.
Much, much worse. Just the light that's emitted is a much higher frequency to tell your brain to wake up.
Okay, the O stands for optimize, and what do you mean by that?
So you want to optimize your space. You want to do things that are easy for you to do what you need to do. And that might be that, for my grandmother at least, it was we put her twin bed up against a wall. So her muscle memory took over. She could only get out of bed one way. So as her memory failed her, she didn't have to remember or fall or fudge. Her body would just take over. There's nothing worse than like going to a hotel or somebody's house and the toilet seat is a different height. Everybody's experienced that, and it's like almost embarrassing. You don't realize that your muscles and your body are pre-programmed for certain things.
Yeah, I've never thought
So
about it.
anything that you can do to optimize, or putting a heat lamp with a fan in your bathroom, you lose muscle mass, and so that's why it's harder to get warm. And when you get out of the shower, you kind of get a chill on you. Well, replace that light or that fan in your bathroom with a heat fan. That's optimizing. You don't need 50 new things. You can put them all into like one thing. Technology is getting smaller and smaller and more.
And wireless.
Exactly,
That's good.
100%.
And I love the idea, I never would have thought of this, about using contrasting paint for
yes.
things like handrails or in certain areas, because we can get used to that and know that, oh, this is going to be a step down. And if everything's
Exactly.
painted white, you don't know when
You
one's...
don't. So that's perfect lead into
I love
visual.
that.
So visual is all about how you can see things better, not only with more light, but contrast your handrail. Contrast the floor from the walls so you know where the edge is. My father has macular degeneration. You might get yellowing of the cornea. It's stuff that happens, cataracts and that kind of thing. Anything that you can do, painting the back wall of the toilet a different color. You know, those kind of visual cues to help you just live better and easier is what you need to do.
And always thinking in terms of avoiding falls, because that
100%.
sets anybody back, and especially a senior.
Exactly. And very few people fall on the stairs. Stairs have kind of gotten this bad
Reputation.
rap, and I feel bad for them. The first thing I did when we all moved in together was everybody wanted me to make it flat for my grandmother. She was 92, and I said, no, I'm not going to. She's going to have 5 stairs. And they said, why? And I said, well, your brain needs blood and oxygen, and that happens from doing stairs.
Oh.
And when you start going flat, you don't have it. It pumps all those bad mojos out of your brain. Most people fall from not having enough light, from being over-medicated, waking up in the middle of the night and getting up too quick and their blood pressure drops, or clutter, or maybe a pet.
Good point. Yeah. And then what about the E?
E is for ease. So anything
like
you
that.
can do to make things easy. You know, put switches and phones where you can reach them. Don't have things tangling up. If you're a little bit shorter, make your chairs and different things so that it's for you, instead of put arms on your chairs so it's easier to get in
up.
and out of. There's a product called Grab Accessories that it's a toilet paper holder, but it also has a grab bar built into it. So that's ease. When you're getting, everybody goes to the bathroom. It's not a popular subject to talk about, but it's something that we do. And to be able to grab there versus back here on a grab bar, that's not your center of gravity. You need to be able to grab here, and that's an ease. So all those little things, bidet toilet seats, just something that helps you make your life a little bit easier.
I remember reading in your book, it said your mother especially said that if she couldn't have anything else in the house where she's taking care of her mother, the bidet seat would be
100%.
100%.
100% the
I
number
never thought
one.
about it.
And I didn't realize what a big deal it was. I went to China, it was actually Japan, came back, got one for my husband for Christmas. And we had a graduation party, and everybody was going up to my master bath. And I said, what is going on? And I thought, this is weird. We have a lot of other bathrooms. And they said they want to use the bidet toilet seat. And it just goes on a regular toilet.
And it won't go on or off unless you're sitting on
That's
it.
exactly right.
That's
and
good.
It's heated, and it'll blow dry your bum, and it's antimicrobial and antibacterial. It's much more hygienic, and it's also good for the environment. You use a lot less toilet paper. So when my parents moved in with my grandmother, my biggest fear was what my sister-in-laws had to do. My mother-in-law had broke both her arms, and both of my sister-in-laws had to go and help her toilet. And I heard the stories, and I'm like, I love seniors, and I love senior living, and I love my mom, and I love my dad, but the last thing that I want to do is do that. And I don't
But
think
it's a fact of life.
it is. And
Somebody
I don't think
has
they
to.
want me to do that for them either. It hurts your dignity.
It does.
And your independence. So if there's technology out there that can help you do that and keep me from being uncomfortable too, that's great. So I got one bidet toilet seat for every place in the house. And it was the biggest win
Smart.
that we ever did.
I bet.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, that's what I just couldn't keep from turning the next page because I wanted to see what else was available. And if you've not been looking in the market, and like you say, we should start planning ahead, it's amazing how much is out there, and not horribly expensive in some cases.
Oh,
but you
no.
gotta, like your mother said, she would buy the bidet seat.
Right. When you think about it, even the toilet paper costs or some of the other technologies that are out there, they're so much less expensive than going into senior living. And that's an option for some people.
Yeah.
But not everybody wants to do that.
So that's for aging in place, and depending on the space, poem.
Yes.
And working with designers, I'm sure your job is challenging and very fulfilling.
It is. It is wonderful.
Well, thank you very much for being here, Lisa.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.